Welcome to Fuel Disclosure, a Moffitt Services podcast. On this show, you will learn how Moffitt Services is pioneering the fuel delivery industry. From fuels and lubricant product news, to stories from the community, to recent industry trends with subject matter experts. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a moment from Moffitt. To learn even more about the Moffitt Services difference, visit moffittservices.com. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Fuel Disclosure. I'm your host, Landry St. Clair, and today I'm joined with our guest, Paul Blattenberger, who is our Moffitt Services Lubricants Manager. Paul, how are you today?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me back on the podcast. It was about mid-part of last year when we did the first one. I got introduced to you.
Yes. Last summer. And now we're so excited to have you back on the show to launch our new season 2 of our Moffitt Services Fuel Disclosure podcast episode. So welcome back and thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So today our topic is we are going to just kind of dive into lubricant trends of 2024, kind of some questions maybe that our customers have on how to pick the right product, and then a little bit of recap of 2023 and how the Moffitt companies did with our lubricants back then. So are we ready to get started?
Definitely. A lot of wonderful, great things happened in 2023. Looking forward to 24. So let's go.
Perfect. Okay, so let's start off with just kind of an overview of 2023 in the lubricant world. What happened? What's happening at Moffitt? Can you kind of just give us a little bit of background of last year?
Yes, sure can. Coming into 2023, we were doing very well. We were, I think on the first podcast, I was saying that we were very well set up for that year with what our goals were, expectations. I think we met all those and exceeded them from a operational standpoint, from a sales standpoint. We added 6 more sales reps through the year. We added more locations in the DFW area, a little bit northwest of Fort Worth, as you know. Mm-hmm. We started doing more business in the central part with Austin, and we even broke ground with having a rep out in East Texas over by Tyler. So a lot of growth in the rep side. Operationally, we added more bulk trucks, better inventory, more people on the ground to do the servicing and deliveries and such. So just altogether a great year, and looking forward to 24 since we're set up again for hopefully another good year.
Absolutely. And can you explain a little bit about the difference between bulk lubricants and just a regular consumer going into the store and purchasing those lubricants? I know you mentioned we're set up for bulk inventory. So can you just kind of explain a little bit about that to me?
Sure.
Okay.
When it comes to customers that we have brought on over the last year with me being on, it seemed like that we did a lot more bulk in the sense, even package, that's fine too. But when it comes to bulk customers, there's a lot of equipment to be looked at for storage, for dispensing, depending on what the operation is. Mm-hmm. And as far as helping customers that might have been going to the store, the large box stores to buy pails and drums, when really those volumes can equate into looking at bulk, moving them into a bulk tank scenario at their shops. It really allowed us to help some customers step up their game in the sense from a maintenance standpoint. And that's, it worked for them, and obviously it worked for us the way we were set up.
So how do you select the best fluid or grease or lubricant product for our customers as they call in? What is the process behind that, and how can you determine what product is best for them?
That is probably, that's a great question. It's really the primary, our focus when we want to help somebody with their lubricant products in general, is that a lot of people, they'll call in, and I'll take you through a process. Say you're a customer and you call in and you say, I need a hydraulic oil. And we say, okay, well, what kind or what have you been using? And to that extent, but what we really want to learn is what the application is. And the application is different layers. If you're a construction company and you have, say, a Caterpillar 365 excavator, and you say, I need a hydraulic oil. Well, we're going to ask you, okay, it's a hydraulic oil for an excavator. You're out in the weather, you're doing construction work. So that's going to help us gauge what you need based on what Caterpillar OEM specs are versus environmental needs. And realistically, in that case, we would probably put you on to like a 10-weight engine oil or a universal tractor fluid, because we know that Caterpillar has a OEM spec of a zinc content around 900 parts per million. I know that's technical, but
I'm like, it's going over my head, but I'm pretending like I know what you're talking about.
Just keep shaking the head, right?
I'm like, awesome. Yeah, sounds great. Good thing we have an expert like you on our team to really delve into what the customer wants, because I wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, and that's where I've always taken the consideration that my customers are experts in their production, their construction. Mm-hmm. They may not be the experts in the oil. They may be well versed in that, but I want to help them in that sense that maybe from what I like in the Caterpillar spec, if somebody's using an AW68, I just don't want to give them a Me Too type of product. Like, hey, I can give you an AW68, but really you should be using this next product level. Mm-hmm. And because if the long term is we maintain their pumps, their components, that they don't have to change out for downtime, labor, repair costs, those types of things. And that's what we're hoping our customers look at us for.
Paul, can you explain the importance of using the right applications when choosing lubricants?
Definitely. As far as looking at a facility, they might have a gearbox, a good example, that is on the top of a building, and they don't want to change that gearbox out very often. So we might say, let's move you to a synthetic product that you might change out once a year instead of where an OEM might ask them to change it out every 3 months. So the safety aspect, the disposal concerns, the environmental situation with trying to get a amount of oil from a top of a building back down, that's one of the questions we do like to bring up to our customers. So the other one would be your operational performance expectations. If somebody's running 24/7 and we're looking at temperature loads, shock loads, drive loads, things of that nature that are going to wear on an oil. So we might there again choose a synthetic or maybe a more durable conventional product. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration, and that's why we like talking to our customers.
Yeah, so it's kind of reminding me of how Moffitt offers the customized fueling solutions, but we also offer the customized lubricant solutions. So really it's just case by case, customer by customer, and making sure that they have the best product for their exact project that they need.
You're right, because the mentality that we have on the fuel side bleeds right over into the lubricant side. So we take everybody for what they are, because everybody's business is the most important to them. Yeah. So it's nice to say we take care of one customer or another, but every customer we treat as individuals. So we like to take that time with them.
Awesome. Great. How do different types of oils contribute to the use of different types of machinery or vehicles?
Well, when we look at oils in general, you have to look at the operating circumstance of that unit or piece of equipment. If we're in the upper Midwest or in the Northeast, we're going to have considerations for pour point, which suppresses the pour point, so you get better cold temperature flowability. Or if you're down here in Texas during the summer, you definitely want to have a very viscosity stable product, so your viscosity index needs to be a little bit higher. Those are two of the main players in the choices that you go through. And then there's now advanced, efficient hydraulic oils, because now cycle times, even with construction equipment versus even industrial, where they want to create shorter cycle times for their operation. So instead of getting, say, an excavator, you have a big rock pile and it's filling dump trucks from that rock pile. You have a excavator on a regular hydraulic oil that can go maybe 500 scoops in a day, 8-hour day. Well, with these new fluids, with the better flow, less friction, that keeps the temperature of the pumps under control so they're working optimally, that you can get maybe 600 scoops. So that is if more efficient, more money, in production. So there are some new choices out there, and they're a little bit more costly than your regular products. But if you look at the overall cost, they do prove out.
Yeah, and that leads me into my next question about, do you have any interesting stories or case studies about using quality lubricants?
I actually have quite a few, but I'll choose one and make it somewhat quick for the podcast side. I took care of a refractory brick outfit, and they had a kiln drive to dry their material for processing. And there's a ring gear that drives the cycling of that kiln. Well, they were using an asphaltic material, an asphaltic type of gear oil that has been around for decades. And they were having some microfracturing inside the gear teeth.
And what is microfracture?
That's when you're
Fracturing.
just think of the gear teeth as being, say, a bone in your leg, and you fracture it. It may not be broken, but they can take an X-ray, they look inside, and they can see the fractures going on. So they were concerned, this company was concerned, that they were going to have to reverse the gear because the fracturing was on one side. And that was going to cost them about $500,000 to do, and downtime and everything else that was going to process through that. So what we ended up doing, we put them on to a synthetic, very heavy gear oil, an ISO 22,000, which is very heavy compared to an asphaltic, which you can, conventional, you can only get to about 1200 ISO. So we ended up putting that in. It cleaned the gear. It got the wear pattern back to normal. They didn't have to reverse the gear to take in that cost. And then on top of that, it actually cleaned the gear so they could actually see, because there was a lot of asphaltic residual on the gear tooth. So it really helped them out 100%. It was really, and it was fun to be part of that process, because it took 2 or 3 months, and I would get phone calls saying, hey, we're seeing this material starting to slough off the teeth of our kiln drive. Is that good? And I said, that's wonderful. That's exactly what it's supposed to do, on top of actually doing the lubrication and part of the gear. So
Wow, amazing. So you basically fixed a problem, which is great.
Exactly. And it was one of those things. I was happy to be part of the process. The product did the job. So we were just happy to put it on there. There were some other aspects that really went into saving them money at that time too. So it just, overall, it was a win-win.
Paul, what emerging trends or innovations are shaping the lubricant industry today?
I would say, number one, electric vehicles. In electric vehicles, a lot of people don't think there's lubricants involved, but there still are a few. The electric vehicles are run by induction motors, electric motors that way. So those motors do have some windings. They do take a little bit of EV grease, electric motor bearing grease. On top of that, there's transmission fluid that is involved and such. And there's even in that side, there's a lot of thermal degradation that they have to be wary of, corrosion control. It's amazing that if you don't, may not have known, but electric vehicles produce a little bit more heat, especially in those motors, than a regular internal combustion engine. So the lubricants have to be very thermal stability is a big deal in that. So.
Yeah. Additionally, how do you see the future of lubricants evolving, especially in the advancements in technology?
I would say lubricants will follow what equipment design and component design is out there. So as we've seen in the past, efficiencies are, as we mentioned, is a big deal right now. So reservoirs are getting smaller, cycle times are getting shorter. So they're operating a lot more in time and space. From that standpoint, you're also seeing longevity for products. People don't want to change out oil as much. So I think you're going to see more use of synthetics as we're going forward. There's a lot more different synthetics that are being created for their thermal stability, for their longevity and such. So I think we will, as lubricants go, we will follow the trends of the designs. So it's part of that process.
Yeah. And so now that we spoke to the future of technology and advancements in technology and how we can adjust on that, can you speak a little bit about the future of Moffitt in 2024 and any new exciting things coming up that you can share with us?
Well, I would say with Moffitt, we're always evolving, we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, our on-site service group is really being put a lot of effort and a lot of investment behind them. So with the dumpsters, the fencing, and porta potties and cleaning stations and such, that is going to be a big service part for us going in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And that I like to think that fuel, on-site services, and lubricants, we all kind of mesh together in our own way. So if a job site is happening, if you're using fuel, you're using on-site scenarios where fencing is needed or dumpsters or such, and then you have lubricants, we're a one-stop shop. And that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we really like to pride ourselves on that as well.
So that's what the Moffitt name has been known for.
Yes. We never say no. We just figure out a way how to make it happen.
We get it done. That's it.
We get it done. It's great. It's a great mentality to have, the Moffitt way. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for coming on the show today. It's so exciting to hear a little bit about the future of Moffitt and the plans that we have for 2024 and how successful some of our projects were in 2023. So thank you, and for giving us a little bit of insight. I love how you dove into Moffitt lubricant customizing lubricant solutions. So do you have anything in conclusion that you want to say for the successes or the future of 2024?
Number one, I want to thank you for having me back on.
Okay.
We got a little bit more technical this time
Yes.
and such. So I think that's something that I'd like to, keep out there to let our customers that are watching this podcast
Mm-hmm.
to know that this is the way we want to do business. We don't want to be a Me Too type of distributor for them where we just say, well, we have that product and here you go. Whatever you're using it in, good luck. So we want to make sure we're giving them proper recommendations and taking our time with them, because it doesn't matter how big or how small the customer, we treat everybody as individuals in themselves, and we want their equipment, their production units, their components to work 100% to their expectations.
Yes.
So.
And we have an expert like Paul himself that will help you.
Thank you for calling me that.
Well, that's why we have you on the show, right, Paul?
I try.
You know all about the lubricant, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. We have finished one of our newest episodes of 2024. We got to dive in a little bit deeper into the lubricants world, explaining how Moffitt offers customized lubricant solutions. So thank you, and we'll see you back for another episode of Fuel Disclosure. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fuel Disclosure, a Moffitt Services podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a moment from Moffitt. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level with a team that delivers industry-leading service and no downtime, visit us at moffittservices.com.